This episode deals with some sensitive topics, including suicide. If you're not in the best headspace at the moment, you might want to skip this one.
Ashamed to ask, ashamed to admit, got Jewy questions. This is it. Why is wicked simple or unsure how to ask? We'll open up the books, the ark. We'll open up your cynical heart. No such a thing as a dumb question, okay, that's mostly true. Tami and Shoshana are here for you. Ashamed to admit, ashamed to ask.
It's everything you didn't get in Jewish studies class.
Welcome to Ashamed to Admit, presented by the Jewish Independent. I'm Tami Susmem, and with me is my co-host, Shoshana Gottlieb-Becker.
Hello.
Just the hello.
Mouthful of chip. Mm-hmm. Hey, Tami. Haven't seen you in so long.
I know.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah.
So I'm at Limud Oz.
Mm-hmm.
It's
the Festival of Jewish Learning.
Yeah, there's I think it's the Festival of Jewish Idea. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so let me just get the trip out. It's 10 minutes before it starts. And the only people who are on time to Limud are of a certain generation above us.
Boomers.
This lady makes eye contact with me, goes, Shoshana. She has a really familiar face. I'm going, fuck. I've met this lady before. I don't know who she is. She's greeted me like an old friend. I'm supposed to know who she is. And I'm like, hey, how are you? She's like, good. She's like, and then I said something or other. She's like, do you know who I am? And I was like, I'm so sorry.
I hate it when they ask
I was like,
that.
I'm so sorry. I have to admit, I don't. But I'm really bad with faces and names. And she goes, well, we haven't met before. And I was like, well, what the fuck? And then I look at her face and she goes, but I'm someone's mum. And then I realized she looks familiar because you and her share a face.
You are the first and only person who has ever said that my mum and I share a face.
That's how I knew who she was straight. I was like, oh my God, that's Tammy's mum because they look the same except she's blonde. Anyway, and it was so funny because I'm like, that's the most Tammy thing. I'm just like making someone shit scared that they're supposed to know. You know what I mean? It was a very Tammy-esque sequence of events to me.
That must happen to you all the time. People develop parasocial relationships with you, surely.
Yeah, but no, usually they're much better at it. I did feel like she was, and I know she's going to listen to this because she's a listener.
She listens, yeah.
I did feel like she was playing mind games with me.
Okay.
I felt like she was.
My mum, first of all, I do not look like her. Second of all, she does not play mind games. She's the most.
It felt like she was trying to trick me. She was like, I'm going to make her think that we know each other.
My mum doesn't think like
freaked
that.
Me out.
My mum doesn't think like that.
It was
but
really
we do
funny.
have the same voice. So
that was also probably part of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, similarities in the face. Maybe what we can do is we can superimpose a picture of your mum right here. Mm-hmm. So look down the camera. But
hang on, I'll look into my camera. Yep. I'll take my glasses off.
And then if we put a photo of your mum right there next to you.
We've just given AJ some more work.
That I reckon that's it. That's the same.
Okay. So I've been away.
Yeah, you've been away.
Cute story.
Well, you weren't at Limud.
Hang on.
That's how I know.
I wasn't at Limud, because I was away. I was on a 30-hour flight back home. Funny though, we had a week off.
Of filming. Yes.
And I got a text from one of our listeners just making sure that we're okay.
Cute.
Isn't that cute?
That's nice.
Yeah.
They thought we had Broigus or something.
No, they thought we were unwell. Yeah. Yeah, no.
I think Broigus is more likely.
Between you and I.
We have a Joan versus Betty style feud between us going on.
You wish we did because it would be good for the algorithm.
Be honestly so funny.
I have been away. I went to Italy.
Crazy.
To officiate a wedding.
Did they get married? Are they still married?
2 weeks later?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still
That's great.
married.
That's really good odds.
Yeah. So interfaith couple, Jewish groom, non-Jewish bride from a lovely Christian family.
Nice. Why did
Italian.
Okay.
She's Italian. And
she Italian-Australian or she's Italian-Italian?
She's Italian-Australian. Her dad is Italian-Italian.
Oh.
The two most loveliest families. I don't get earnest very often, but it was just impossible to not feel so lucky. It was just gratitude central. Such an honor to be.
Is that an Italian hotel?
Such an honor.
No, Gratitude Central.
Did I say it was Gratitude Central?
Yeah.
So funny how I say things 1 minute.
Then you just
And then
completely
I
forget
think
it.
that's part of my problem. There's no filter and also no memory
Oh, that's bad.
of what I say.
Combination.
No, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful part of Italy, which I'm not going to name because I don't want anyone to go there. But then, of course, on the way back to the airport, I stopped off in Rome because that's where the flights to and from were from. And because I'm in Rome, people told me you have to go see the Colosseum. I don't know what you're like. I'm not a what's it called? Landmark, like tourist
Yeah.
girly. I don't like cities. But I was like, I will go see the Colosseum because people will give me shit.
I'm reserving my judgment before you finish the story.
Okay. And I'm like, I will go stand outside the Vatican just so I can, you might recall in a previous episode, my friend's dad was really upset that I didn't know what the Vatican was.
You didn't know the Vatican?
When I was, we've
talked about this.
Talked
I made
about
fun of
this.
you for this,
I
yeah.
didn't know what the Vatican was when I was like 16, potentially 22. So I went to the Vatican, had a photo outside the Vatican, and then everyone said you have to go to the Jewish Quarter because it's amazing and you got to have deep fried artichoke. And so I went to the Jewish Quarter, and that is where I had what my funny friend calls my Jewish Quarter life crisis.
Okay. Was it around artichoke?
It wasn't around artichoke.
Okay.
All right.
What was it about?
So, just for context, I'd woken up early. I had traveled from this other part of Italy to Rome. I'd been walking around for hours. I had blisters on my feet. I was exhausted. I was with my partner, who is not Jewish.
Nice.
Yeah, that was lovely. But we were both tired. She was very hungry. We get to the Jewish Quarter, and the first shop I go into is a jewelry shop. And there's lots of chais and Magen Davids, and I thought I might buy something for my niece. Her bat mitzvah's coming up later in the year. And I'm inside the shop, and they don't speak English, the jeweler. And I said, do you speak Hebrew? And they said, no. I don't know why I asked that because I don't. But no, I do know why I asked
You just wanted to judge them for it.
I wanted to know if they were Jewish. I had this sense of, is this legit, or are they setting up a kind of shop to profit off Jews, or are they really Jewish? And then I'm walking down the main street of the Jewish Quarter, and there's all the stickers of the people who died at Nova Festival and on October 7. I've never seen those stickers before. I know they're everywhere in Israel, not so much where I go in Sydney. Have you seen them in Sydney?
No, like at Jewish institutions, but not like out on
we
the
saw
streets.
pictures of hostages.
Yeah.
Those were
Everywhere.
everywhere, but not the people who died. So I'm looking at them, getting quite emotional. And then I see that there's a tour guide, a tour group that stopped outside the Jewish Museum. And I haven't paid to be part of this group, but I'm just eavesdropping.
I know this is like a really like monumental story. That's my favorite way to travel.
Okay.
It's like accidentally eavesdropping on other tour groups.
Right.
It's fantastic.
So I'm accidentally eavesdropping. And the tour guide, he looks about 20, early 20s, blonde, not an Italian accent, speaking English. Sounds Germanic, would you say? Is that?
I didn't hear it, but sure.
No, I'm saying the word Germanic.
Yeah,
Is
sure.
that the word?
Yeah.
Or Scandi, I don't know. And I hear him talking, and I hear one member of the group, a woman, say to him, sorry, did you just say that the Jews living in Rome now are rich? And this is what I heard. I heard him say, well, if you live in this part of town, you have to be. And I spoke to some maids, and this is what they said. And then my partner kept walking, and I was like, I don't think I can be a part of this conversation now. I kept walking, but I felt really uncomfortable about it. We keep walking. We stop outside the synagogue, and I see this woman from the tour group who asked the question, excuse me, Is this what you just said? And she separated from the group. And I walked up to her and I said, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but did you ask that question? She said, yeah, I did. And I said, what did he say? Like, did he correct himself? She said, no, firstly, I'm Jewish. And I was like, okay, I kind of maybe thought she was. And she said, I thought that was really anti-Semitic. And I said, did you say something? And she said, no, I just didn't feel like I could. And I was like, well, do you want me to say something? She was like, I don't know, like it's up to you. And I was like, well, fuck it. I'm so used to never saying anything. Yeah. And so I walked up to the tour group. I was shaking.
But I want to know what did he say to warrant her question? He had just made the flippant comment that Jews were wealthy.
Just wait.
Yeah, okay.
I walk up to the group. He's still speaking. And I said, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I couldn't help but overhear a question that was asked before. And I think it's really important to note that if Jews are wealthy, if your perception of the Jews as wealthy because they live in this part of town, you may not know that hundreds of years ago when they bought property here, this part of town wasn't necessarily expensive. And, you know, it's really disrespectful. That's a really disrespectful stereotype, especially to say that in the Jewish quarter, Jews just aren't these like mystical creatures that once lived here and don't anymore. We're real people. And I'm from Sydney, and you may have heard that there was a massacre in Sydney in December, and I'm like getting all fired up. He is looking at me like I am a piece of shit. And I'm looking around at the circle and I'm expecting sympathy. Everyone is looking at me like I am insane. A woman walks up to me, a different woman, and says, excuse me, I am also Jewish. And he did give all that context. And in that moment, you are too young for this reference, but there was a show called Ally McBeal.
I know Ally McBeal, Dancing Baby.
Yeah, but when Ally put her foot in it, she would shrink into a tiny Ally and run away.
Lol.
All I wanted to do at once. Firstly, I was pissed at that other lady who led me astray.
Yeah.
And then this tour guide, okay, this is where he went wrong. He said, and that is why I am the one that's the tour guide, and the city of Rome has given me a permit to be the tour guide. And I was like, okay, bro, clearly I am traumatized. I'm having my quarter life crisis. And if it were me, I would have said, okay, in hindsight, this is what I wish I would have said. You all signed up for a tour of the Jewish quarter, and you know what you got for free? Some intergenerational trauma here, okay?
It's a shame you only ever think about it on the 30-hour flight back home.
It's true, because in the moment, this is what I said. I said, thank you so much. You're doing a wonderful job. Goodbye. And then I said to my partner, quick, we need to walk, quick, walk away from the crowd, walk away from the crowd. I sat on a bench. I said, I need 5 minutes. I wept.
Oh, my God.
I cried and cried and cried. I haven't cried like that since December 14. So it was obviously some shit that I had been like holding on to that I just hadn't processed until that moment. My partner, bless her, she gave me that 5 minutes. She came up to me. She leant down beside me and she said, babe, can you possibly keep crying at the restaurant? Because this whole time while I'm having my Jewish trauma, she is just starving and just wanting to get to this.
Go get a Snickers. Let you have your I give you a 7th minute. Go get a Mars bar. You're in Rome. Go get a gelato.
Have you seen the show Too Much or heard of it? Lena Dunham's.
Oh, it's like on okay. Here's what you have to know. Okay. Sky and I have only been watching RuPaul's Drag Race for the past like 8 months.
All right.
Like exclusively. So I have a lot of things on my list that I'm just,
The reason why I'm mentioning that is because I haven't seen it, but my partner's watched it, and she said in that there's a scene where the woman who's too much, her boyfriend says to her, I really love you. Like, yes, you're too much. I really love you. I just wish there was just one day where you could just one day where we just have a break from the drama and the thing.
God.
And Ina, my partner, was like, can we just have one day where you don't cry hysterically?
And accost a little blonde man.
Well, it became a joke for the rest of the time we were together. We'd walk past a tour group and she'd say to me, look, a tour group, anything you want to say to them? Anyway, trauma.
I love that for you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Trauma.
How's your mental health?
Oh, it's okay. I'm like on a half social media break because I realized that it was really bad for me. And so I've got all of my social media apps in a hidden folder on my phone. And so I have to like intentionally go in and open them. And so it's cut down like some of the mindless scrolling that I do. A little bit. Like I was doing really, really well. I had a bit of a setback this past week, but like back on the bandwagon.
So you took a break because you were noticing a decline?
Yeah. No, it's been really bad for a long time. And like comment sections are horrendous. And I just like don't need, like that's not my business.
You didn't strike me as the type to read comment sections.
Oh, always. You have to know what people are saying. It's like part of my job to know what anti-Semitism looks like because I have to teach it to people. Yeah, it's real bad. And so I just kind of like took myself out of that for a little bit.
Okay. Notice a difference?
Yeah, a little bit.
I should say when I was in Italy, for the whole time I was away, I did not go on social media. Made a huge difference.
I'm doing like it's like coupled with other things, right? So I'm like I'm trying to be less on my phone in general. I'm cooking more, I'm reading more, and like trying to do like other things that fill my tank. You know? Yeah.
Okay, well, the reason why we're talking about the reason why we're talking about this, and I know that I told a somewhat humorous story that was inherently like quite upsetting.
Yeah.
Is because I do use humor to diffuse pain and trauma.
Who doesn't?
A lot of people.
Yeah, freaks.
I guess because today's episode we are focusing on Jews in therapy or mental health or what do the texts say about mental illness.
I do think we should preface this by saying that like we are not experts in the field.
Yeah.
And if anything comes across as advice, it's not.
Okay.
It's like it's not. It's just reporting live from Jewish text.
It's just a discussion of what has been written in the Jewish text. Yeah, not advice.
So
where do we begin?
Okay, so I do my little deep dive. I go on my sites. So here's a peek behind the curtain at my process. First, I come up with some notes of like things I know off the top of my head. Then I go and I find sources that either corroborate it because like it's something I heard too long ago and to make sure that I remembered correctly, or like do some other research and then find after that things I might not have heard of before, so on and so forth, and like actual research. And so that's what I did. I like started with the Torah and Tanakh of like stories that I could think in my head were like clear cases of, I would say like proto mental health kind of storytelling. But I think before I get into it, and this is a broader context or broader story, I don't believe in putting labels on past figures. So I don't like it when someone's like Abraham Lincoln was a bisexual twink because you don't know what Abraham Lincoln was like in his personal life, right? But I think there's a difference between, and especially with the Torah and Tanakh, of like these are stories about human people, and part of the human experience is like anguish and struggle with mental health. And so I think being able to read yourself or read situations into text is really important, or reading our contemporary understanding of mental health into certain stories is really helpful, both for our understanding of ourselves in relation to text, but also in terms of understanding the text in a new light. But I never like diagnose people with anything. And I think like that's, and like I'm not going to say like King Saul was bipolar, because like I don't think that's particularly helpful in any way, shape or form. Even though some people do that, like if it floats your boat, whatever, but like I don't like that kind of thing. So the first story I could think of mental anguish or some kind of mental health thing is the story of Rivka, who is pregnant. And I know I'm definitely not the first person to say this, but like a kind of like antenatal depression of like hating being pregnant and hating her experience. She's pregnant with twins and she's having a really rough pregnancy. And so she goes to God and says this phrase that's a bit ambiguous, but she's like, if I'm like this, why am I? She's like, why am I alive, essentially?
Wow.
And seemingly like, you know, so like has so much discomfort in her pregnancy and like has to turn to God for that guidance. And that's when God's like, you know, there's 2 twins inside you and they're 2 different nations and they're struggling together and like fighting each other and they'll be the fathers of these, whatever. And then she has the babies and they're...
Who were they, by the way?
Yaakov and Esav, Jacob and Esau.
They're Rivka's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But what's really interesting is that her oldest son, she like doesn't like. She favors the younger son, Jacob, and her husband favors the older son, which that makes a bit more sense to me. To favor the oldest in a patriarchal society makes sense. And also they're like one's described as a hunter-gatherer and the other one's described as, you know, a man of the tents, and it's a bit more effeminate and he's like learned. And so like that kind of patriarchal father favoritism makes sense to me. But what I think is really interesting is the mother's favoritism. And I think there's lots being written about how difficult pregnancies or depression during pregnancies really can affect a mother's relationship with her child.
Yeah.
And so that was really the first thing I thought of like, well, here's a story where we can read modern context onto this character. And then there's a couple of stories that are a bit more like classically, like here's a mental health thing.
Okay.
One of them is King Saul. Have you heard of King Saul?
I've heard of him, yeah.
Do you know anything about him?
Different to not King Solomon, not King David.
Well, he has a different name.
King Saul. Some people might think it was short for Solomon, like Saul. No, I like the name Saul though, but what was his vibe?
So he was the king before David.
Uh-huh.
And then David kind of takes over from him. They're both chosen by God. It's a whole thing. Anyway, he's described as having this evil spirit come upon him and like and he was like scared of it. And it would affect his mood.
Wow.
And the cure for that is that he hired David, who would later become King David, as a lyre player, like to play music for him to calm him down in his palace. And so that's a very classic thing of people saying, you know, that like, again, I think it's really interesting that the words and the language that old texts use to try to describe human condition, right? Because it's not just he was sad, it's that there was this spirit that would come over him. And specifically it was like an evil spirit of God, right? So this was something inflicted on him by a divine source. Like that's how deeply horrible it was for him.
Yeah.
But then what was also really interesting is that, because I was like looking this up, trying to remember if I had learned that randomly or like if there's actual proof, I found a secular psychologist who wrote a paper that it discusses King Saul in the Bible. It says, provides a good example of a man suffering from depression and fits with current scientific understanding of the role of work-related stress as a determinant of depression. And so they analyze his story through this job stress model that is like a contemporary thing of like, well, he's in a high-stress work environment being the king of Israel.
Yeah.
The first king of Israel at that, and fighting, you know, the Philistines and having to deal with God, all of this stuff, and how that translates into his depressive episodes. I just thought it was cool.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't read it. I just found it. I was like, nice.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's figures. And I should say we will talk about self-care at some point. This is not just an episode about here is a list of people who...
Well, there's other figures. There's like, again, it's like lots of like really classic stories of like Eliyahu Hanavi, right? But the character in the Tanakh before he started turning up at Pesach and Brisses.
Yeah.
Yeah, before that he was just a guy.
He was just a guy.
Before he was a
prophet.
Pippi wine ghost, he was a prophet.
Okay.
In the Tanakh.
Yeah, and
he has this whole story of like trying to stop the Jews from doing idol worship and kind of fails at it and then goes into the wilderness and asks God to kill him because he's like, I failed at my job and like, you know, like just take me away from it.
Yeah, worthlessness, feelings of worthlessness.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. Again, a lot of it, I think, work-related stress in the Tanakh.
Or, feeling like you have no purpose or you failed at something.
Yeah, like your one job.
Yeah, you're tying your whole identity to one thing.
Yeah. And then God like kind of tries to bring him out of it and convince him otherwise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know how God does that?
Yeah, it's like my favorite story. So God like tells him to walk in the wilderness for 40 days.
So connect with nature, yeah.
And he comes to a mountaintop, to this cave. and he asks God again to kill him. And then God says, go outside and I'll show you a vision. And so he walks like out of this cave onto this mountaintop. And it's this whole thing of it's like, and there was a great wind came, but God was not in the wind. And after the wind, there was a great earthquake, but God was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, there was a fire, but God was not in the fire. And after the fire, there was a thin, still sound. And then that's the end of the vision. And so like, it's just like a really beautiful piece of
poetry.
What I think is poetry, in the Tanakh, of like of reconceptualizing who and what God is, and also what I think achieving connection with God looks like. It's not in these big moments of like miraculous wonder, but it's in those like the moments afterwards, those silences. I think we spoke about it maybe on the podcast.
We did.
On our original podcast.
That's where I put my hand up because I was like, that was that's how you got me to believe in God.
Yes.
In those still silent moments. But I also think through the lens of mental health, I think, when you go out there and you reconnect to nature.
Yeah, go on a walk. Literally, go walk. Like,
I hate saying just go for a walk, but I mean like when you take that actual time out.
Investing in physical health, I think, is an underrated part of it.
I mean, just not walking around a city. I know that this is a thing of like privilege and whatever, but if you can remove yourself from one environment and spend time in nature for more than that 45 minutes.
Woo-woo for me. I'm kidding.
All right.
It's a thing. It's like a Hasidic thing. Hitbodedut. Like you go out into nature and you like meditate like in silence, but in the natural world. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, it's fine. Like it's a tree. A tree's a tree.
Yeah.
You know?
You've mentioned Shabtai Tzvi in a
that guy's
different
crazy.
episode about the Messiah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Sorry. That was a really loud vibration from my phone.
That's okay.
Sorry,
it was Shabtai Tzvi from the grave.
Yeah.
So we
spooky.
We won't get into Shabtai Tzvi in this episode, but if you're curious, go back and listen to the episode that we did about Moshiach, the Messiah.
Yeah. I think what happens a lot is that like you have these really, especially with Shabtai Tzvi, which is like a more medieval history, right? Like the 1600s-ish. Yeah, 1500s, 1600s. Anyway, it's a more, you have these really big figures who are like strange, right, in quotation marks, and these big personalities who are super charismatic, but then are also like a bit batshit. And again, in our current understanding and sensibilities of how mental health works, people like to try and diagnose him of someone who has really big highs and really big lows, and also like thinks that he's connected to God in this way and is being, his delusions are getting fed into by some of his supporters. So like, people like to diagnose him a lot because he did some cuckoo banana stuff that just is different to normality.
And you've said that there are rabbis who have whole ideologies built around happiness and trying to escape sadness.
Yeah, like we have, like, I'm sure you've seen like what we call like the Nanach Jews, right? And they have like their white kippot and they follow Rabbi Nachman. No?
I know the song Rabbi Nachman.
So that rabbi, right? So he has lots of followers who their entire Hasidic ideology is you connect through God through happiness and dance and celebration. And I do think a lot of people connect to that because they are trying to escape something like, a bit more like the sadnesses within them. Okay. And so you focus like wholeheartedly on
toxic positivity.
That's my opinion of it. And I don't think it should be always taken that way, but I do think there is something about like, I don't know. And then like you've got the Lubavitch Rebbe who said, think good and it will be good. Trach good, but sein good. Like there's a lot of this positive mind framing in order to see the world in a good way. But like there's a few different rabbis who do that.
Good for them, not for me. I just have to say that there are some lovely people I have met in my 39 years on this planet.
Mm-hmm. You're 39?
Yeah.
Crazy. When you turn 40?
March.
What date in March?
31st.
Oh my God, that's really close to my mom's birthday. Who's also turning 40.
I cannot develop close relationships with people who are just all happiness. I need some real dark shit in there.
I I think I have a certain level of distrust of some of those kinds of people.
Okay.
Because I'm like, it's not good all the time.
Yeah.
And like, actually, it's not helpful to always focus. There's just a level of cynicism I think that I have in my life.
I have that too.
And I also think of like, have you been to Tzfat?
Yes.
Okay, so I think Tzfat is a city full of people who are like escaping something and have found different forms of like Orthodox life and then like clung to that to escape their past. But like the happiness and the rigor with which they approach their Jewish lives are a very clear facade.
Really?
That hides, again, this is all my opinion, but like hides a deep sadness, I think, or a deep something.
And do you think that deep sadness always catches up to them?
I don't know. I think like if they, again, you think it'll be good. Like, I don't know what it is. But
I
like,
envy that.
But I really, like, I think that there's like a certain level of inauthenticity when I have to interact with those people.
Right. I'm envious. I wish that there was a way that I could just escape the sadness.
So my friend Simone talks about she wishes she was stupider because she thinks stupid people don't have as much worries in life.
I agree.
And she wishes that she like didn't have as much cognitive power as she does because then she wouldn't worry about the world.
Yeah.
Which I think is really funny.
I think that's funny and it's spot on. When I say, how are you to someone and they go, oh, pretty good, can't complain, I follow that with, yes, you absolutely can, especially to me. I want to hear your complaints.
I say can't complain because no one will listen, which I think is a good one. It's like an old man joke, you know?
Or can't complain because then I'm the downer. I think one of my superpowers is that I am a downer with the ability to uplift others.
Nice.
You know, there are downers that bring other people down.
Right. It's like a superhero ability of like you give your powers to others.
Maybe that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Or I'll say can't complain. Well, I could, but I won't.
So
classic.
Yeah. Okay. So these people who follow Rabbi Nachman, is he still alive?
No.
Okay.
I like that you switched into Numa Numa for the second half of it.
Did the Eurovision song take their tune or did they take the Eurovision song?
They absolutely took the Numa Numa tune.
Okay. So they're part of a community. I feel like even if you don't follow Rabbi Nachman, even if you're not necessarily from or religious, maybe you're a little bit more like me, culturally affiliated, but still very Jewish and still very much in a community.
Yeah.
You've said that Judaism being built around community is literally the cure to the loneliness epidemic.
Oh yeah, I was just riffing thoughts.
Yeah.
I think that so much of Jewish life is built around communal involvement, right? We go to shul, and even if you're not religious and you go just for the kiddush, or your parents know that it's important to be congregant, so you go once a year for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, whatever it is, I think that to be Jewish is to be in community.
Yeah.
It's really hard to be a Jewish and isolated from anyone else around you. Like it's supposed to be a shared experience. And that's the same with having kashrut standards, right? So I can have my friends who keep kosher come to my house, things like that. Like we're supposed to be sharing food. We're supposed to be sharing ideas and learning together and just being around each other. And I think part of the loneliness epidemic, if I'm like diagnosing it, is that people don't have communities anymore and they don't have third spaces where they gather with people who aren't the same age as them or their parents' friends or things like that. And I think that like when you're doing Judaism properly, like you can't, it's impossible to be that like that guy in a basement, you know, who's kind of becoming an incel. Like I think there are definitely Jewish incels, don't get me wrong. But I do think that the communal point of Judaism is a guardrail against the loneliness epidemic. Yeah. At least it should be.
Yeah, and that third space, the internet does not count.
No, absolutely not.
Really like to address the fact that when I was young, maybe when you were younger, I don't know if you were fed the same narrative that if you die by suicide, you cannot be buried in a Jewish cemetery.
Something that I think might have been true a long time ago because there's commandments against taking your own life. But again, as our understanding of mental health has evolved and our understanding that mental health and illness is like a physical health and illness, right? And that just like we can't control if we are diagnosed with cancer, we can't control depression and literally like the chemical imbalances in our brains. We like you will get buried in a Jewish cemetery. Like that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah. Same with tattoos, I hear.
I think so.
Yeah.
I will say that there's still like the thing with mental health, right, is that like our sort of sensitivities towards it in the secular world are still evolving and changing, right? And like there are still so many people who aren't Jewish and who also treat it weirdly and are like, and so
There's
I
still
think
stigma.
exactly, and so that's not specific to the Jewish world, but there is still like a lot of stigma around suicide in the Jewish world, and often when you find out that someone in the community has died and they don't say what it is, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
But the fact that they don't call it what it is, I think speaks to that, the stigma, but like the sadness around it as well. And like usually it's young people, like it's kind of that thing of like if you've heard that someone young has died and they don't say what it was, you can put the pieces together.
Yeah.
But I think it's like it's important to give it a name and to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not reinventing the wheel, but like, yeah. But yeah, I think that people give the Jewish community a particularly hard go about having lots of stigma around mental health. But I think that again, it's like it's not even that we're catching up to the secular world. It's like we're at the same places, and this idea around like the chief rabbi of the Commonwealth, almost 10 years ago now, released a thing saying basically that we have to make our schools a safe space for teenagers who are queer or LGBT or whatever it is, for pikuach nefesh reasons, because young, or like to the sanctity of life, right? That young queer individuals have much higher suicide ideation rates, much higher mental health and depression rates, and that to give them safe environments and to be welcoming and to be accepting of them is literally saving their life.
Yeah.
Right. And so like that's happening in the world, which is amazing. And that's happening in the modern Orthodox world, which is amazing. But then on the other hand, you do still have like conversion therapy in some ultra-Orthodox communities. But again, that's also happening in non-Jewish communities. Like
Absolutely.
It's one of those things of like, I think it's just us talking about it within a Jewish context, but it's not specific to the Jewish world.
Do you know what else the Jewish world gets a lot of grief for?
What?
For apparently being neurotic or having more mental illness than the average population.
And wouldn't you guess, I found studies that they've actually done that kind of don't prove that. And so like in the 90s, they were doing like I think looking at different community types and sizes, and basically Jews don't have high rates of anxiety and mental health. But there is also a really interesting study between religious fervor and observance and like OCD and that kind of like the obsessive compulsion and things like that, which I think is super interesting.
Yeah. Is there an overlap?
Well, no, it's trying to like discern between the two. And I think the thing is that your religious practice shouldn't bring you like physical pain and like anguish the same way that obsessive thoughts often do.
Okay.
Right? It shouldn't be like I think I brought the words. True OCD sufferers carry heavy stress and emotional burdens in their focus on strictly observing things, and demonstrate an extreme inflexibility that makes it difficult for them to violate commandments even when religiously obliged to do so. And I think that's like how you can sort of discern between the two.
Okay. So it's just about being self-aware and recognizing when maybe it's slipping into something that's...
Again, I'm not giving advice because I'm just reporting what I've read.
Yeah.
I also think it's important to say like Jews are overwhelmingly represented in like the study of psychology and the development of psychology.
Freud.
I found out that Maslow of like the hierarchy of needs, Jew.
Esther Perel.
Yeah, Viktor Frankl. Dr. Orna.
Of course.
On couples therapy.
Yeah.
And then my favorite one is that when you do, like when you're studying education, they always reference Lev Vygotsky. And I'm like, Lev and Vygotsky, those are Jewish names. And he's like this little Jewish boy who is like fundamental in the understanding of child development and child psychology.
Wow.
So you're like funnily like overrepresented in that kind of,
Yeah.
which maybe is where that the neuroses thing comes from as well.
Just because we're interested in it.
Yeah. But I don't know, who knows?
There's even a prayer for overcoming anxiety.
Yeah, I thought this was really cool.
I didn't know that.
So I'd also never heard of it, but it's like in a Hasidic text I found.
In a Hasidic text.
Yeah, I can't remember who wrote it.
Okay.
But are we going to read it or should we just like?
Yeah,
put
so
it in
for anyone tuning in for the first time,
Okay.
Hasidic is like ultra orthodox.
It's connected to Kabbalistic connection and ideas as well. So it's ultra orthodox, but it's also like about tapping into spirituality rather than just intellectual Jewish growth. Anyway, so then I found this and it says, "Dear God, rescue me from the toil of my hands, nullify all my depression, worries and anxiety, particularly my worries concerning earning a living." Which, again, like this is very sincere and I think it's beautiful that I could find this, but I think it's really funny that like clearly a lot of people's anxiety and depression is coming from a cost of living crisis even back in the day. Because of my many sins and evil desires, my heart is overcome with heaviness, depression and anxiety, and earning a living has become a difficult burden. As a result, the spirit of my heart has closed down so that its pulse cannot radiate properly through my limbs. As a result, my hands and limbs have grown heavy, and because of that heaviness, the spirit of my heart grows ever weaker until my depression leads to so much heaviness, weakness, and a sealed heart that I am close to death. Heaven forbid, there is but a step between me and death. And it's just like, I think giving voice to anxiety and sadness, but also again, coding it in a religious language and the same way we pray for people to physically get better. This is someone praying for themselves to get mentally and emotionally better.
Wow.
Beautiful.
For those of you who struggle with the speed at which Shoshana
You can just slow it
reads,
down. Come on.
I was going to say you can slow that.
You can put it in the show notes. Like
We can just put it in the show notes.
Go to Safaria, type in prayer for overcoming anxiety.
Okay.
It's a free shout out to Safaria because I love them so much.
All right. Do we skip Shame in the Shtetl today?
Yeah, we're already really over, hey.
Yeah. Is this?
I would just say, instead of shame in the shtetl, how about this? Because I've spoken about the internet as a cause of mental health anguish already, I will say, if you find yourself in a Facebook group, scrolling through it and getting angry, instead of commenting about your anger and adding to the problem of what I can only describe as our entire community going through some anger, fear event together, instead of feeding into that urgent impulse, just turn off your phone. Just close the app. Stop getting angry all the time. Social media is designed, like the algorithms are designed to anger you.
Yes.
Because your anger gives them money.
Yeah.
So instead of like literally lining billionaires' pockets with your righteous anger, go outside.
Touch some grass.
Literally go touch some grass. That's the nature part of it, right? I think that we're not gonna give in to shame in the shtetl today.
Yeah. We're leading by example today.
Just go outside.
Okay.
Go outside. Jews of insert city in a country
In a town.
in a town.
In the
just
world.
go outside. Just stop posting. Stop being angry.
On the internet.
Yeah. Go punch a wall. At least get it out physically.
Yeah.
Like you're not doing anyone any good by sitting like angry thumbs. Like that's not.
Don't punch a wall. Punch a pillow. Scream into a pillow.
Whatever it is, I think. Yeah. Don't just stop adding to the cycle of anger and fear that we keep finding ourselves in, you guys. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's it. Well, what an upper of an episode this has been. Everyone's on their way to work listening with beaming smiles on their faces. Maybe we should add at the top of the episode, like listen to this on your way home.
Oh, like on the way back from work.
Like don't
not
go
on
into
the
your
way.
work day listening to this episode. You're welcome.
I think we're at the intro where it says we're discussing, sensitive topics. Maybe this is not for you. Okay. All right.
That's it for today's show.
You've been watching or listening to Ashamed to Admit with Shoshana Gottlieb-Becker and me, Tami Sussman.
This episode was brought to you by the Jewish Independent, also known as
The Jindependent,
with Alleyway Productions.
If you enjoyed this episode, share it around and give it a positive review. And remember to check out the other shows by the Jewish Independent, like Politica.
How do you pronounce the O when it has a
Sharon, that's why I did it like that, so you knew it wasn't Sharon.
Presented by Sharon Offenberger and Yoval Regev, Politica is a conversation about Israeli politics aimed at confused diaspora audiences. That's us. confused diaspora audiences.
Israeli political life is famously complicated, but it's an election year, so it's about time you understood what's happening and why it matters.
Thank you so much for joining us, you guys. If you liked this episode, let us know.
It's important you say this part.
I'll say it. I'll get there.
Okay,
I'll
sorry.
get there. But I'm just saying, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy, leave a comment, share it around, write into the Gindependent and let them know that you love it. And we'll see you next week, which is our second last episode of season 4.
Bye.